I want to start by thanking Chris Mueller. Chris Mueller is the owner of this station, USA Gasoline. We can all give him a round of applause. He's got a lot of fans and a lot of customers. Along with Chris, we also have Michelle Cicero, Eric Polwatic, and Kent Bullard, and they are all part of the LA Biodiesel Co-op and have been helping to spread the word about biodiesel fuels and the possibilities of creating an environmentally sound way for us to fuel our vehicles. So, I want to thank Chris not just for welcoming us here, but also for taking the lead on saving our planet. This gas station used to be owned by Chris's father. And a while back, Chris persuaded his father to install a biodiesel pump here, partly because Chris was interested in the environment and the implications of our dependence on foreign oil, but also because he thought that it could be a commercially successful part of their business. It was so successful that his father installed biodiesel pumps at 4 other stations. And now, thanks to Chris's leadership, this gas station is on its way to becoming only the 2nd gas station in California to offer E85 ethanol-based fuel. This is how change happens. Real change. It starts from the bottom up, not from the top down. We've been talking about climate change in Washington for years, but no matter how many scientists testified about greenhouse gases, no matter how much evidence was presented that they're threatening our coasts and endangering our weather patterns, nothing really happened on global warming until now. The debate about whether or not climate change is a man-made disaster is over. The question now is, what do we do about it? And as usual, America is way ahead of Washington. Folks like Chris are part of a grassroots movement, as are the members of the LA Biodiesel Co-op, that's making America greener right now. And here in California, we've seen real leadership on this issue. I have to commend your governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, for establishing a landmark low-carbon fuel standard that would significantly reduce harmful emissions. We need that kind of leadership in Washington. There's a big energy bill that is going to be debated this week in the Senate. I'll be returning to Washington this evening, and already, from what I hear, the lobbyists are starting to swarm Congress, trying their hardest to block change and stick us with the same failed energy policy that we've had for the last several years. We can't let that happen this time. The low-carbon fuel standard you have here in California should be a model for the nation. And that's why this week, Iowa Senator Tom Harkin and I will try to make it the law of the land. The idea behind the low-carbon fuel standard is simple. We know that transportation fuels account for 1/3 of America's global warming pollution. And we know there are fuels available that emit less carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, fuels like biodiesel and certain forms of ethanol. To create a mass market for these fuels and ensure they'll be used more widely, this standard will require that fuel sold in the United States contain 5% less carbon by 2015 and 10% less carbon by 2020. My plan will allow the market, not the government, to determine which fuels are used by fuel distributors to meet the standard. It's gradual so that it gives these companies time to meet the requirements. And if you're a fuel producer that's having trouble meeting the standards, it also allows you to pay for a credit from a company that is meeting the standard. Now, this is just one of the steps that we need to take. We also have to start making more cars that can actually use these biofuels. It only costs $100 per vehicle to install, for example, a flexible fuel tank that can run on ethanol. And I propose that we help to pay for this transition. Government should lead the way here, and I showed up in this event in a government vehicle that doesn't have a flexible fuel tank. When I'm president, I'll make sure that every vehicle purchased by the federal government does. We also need to ask more of our automakers. We have not improved the fuel efficiency standards of our cars for over 20 years, and that has to change. That's why I've challenged the car companies to more than double fuel economy over the next 20 years while also helping them address their staggering health care costs and providing incentives to retool their domestic facilities. And I just want to point out, I made that speech about doubling fuel efficiency standards not here in California, but in Detroit in front of a bunch of senior auto executives because I told them I don't want to say one thing in California and another thing in Detroit. I think all of us have a stake in making sure that fuel efficiency is advanced. And if we can do this, along with creating a national low-carbon fuel standard, if you combine a low-carbon fuel standard with increased fuel efficiency, we can take 50 million cars worth of pollution off the road by 2020. 50 million cars worth of pollution off the road by 2020. It's something that we can do, and it's something that we must do. If we don't act now, we know what the future will look like. We know there will be more droughts and more famine, more forest fires, more flooding, dangerous weather patterns, and intensified storms all over the world. But we are not there yet. We still have a chance to pass on a planet to our children and our grandchildren that's cleaner and safer and more prosperous than we found it. This is our generation's moment to save future generations from global catastrophe. And if we can make a national low-carbon fuel standard a reality, we'll be one step closer to finally achieving energy independence in our time. One last thing that I want to point out. Just maybe 10 years ago, if you talk to the average person, they wouldn't give too much thought to the issue of climate change. Today, as I'm traveling across the country, in small communities in places like Iowa or New Hampshire, people are aware, and a lot of that credit goes to folks like the LA Biodiesel Co-op who've been raising awareness at the same time they've actually actively done something. I also want to give credit to former Vice President Al Gore, who's been a terrific proselytizer on this issue all across the country. It's that raising awareness that's going to be so critical for us to be able to mobilize the kind of political will that we need in Washington. So with that, let me open it up to questions.